What's up, boxing fans? This is TBE Boxing back at you again. Today's topic: Errol, Runtime Spence, and trainer Derek James running for their lives from Iceman, Crawford. Let's chop it up and see what it's all about.
Got the money for minutes, pretty bitch, gotta show me titties. This is the life that I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? This is the life that I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? That life before riches, huh? That life before riches, huh? Pretty bitch, show me titties, huh? And I got the glaze, run up on me, I'ma make you get it. I'ma make you get it.
Okay, boxing fans, we're back. Let's talk some boxing. All right, so today we're going to talk about the Duck Chronicles, the continuing saga of Errol Spence ducking Iceman Crawford, as he has been ducking Crawford for the past 2 years now. Ever since Terrence Crawford came to 147 pound and challenged all the welterweight, they have been ducking him. And as we know, Errol Spence has been in the forefront of this whole ducking conspiracy. So recently, Derek James, as he's wont to do, he comes on, I guess Errol Spence, the team sent him out there to do some damage control after the Crawford Kell Brook fight, where Terrence Crawford, dispatched Kell Brook in 4 rounds. Shout out to Kell Brook. And so basically what happened after that was, the haters, mostly these LDBC guys, went into shock. Okay, basically they went into shock after what Crawford did to Book, because many of them, and the Errol Spence fans as well, many of them had predicted that Book would beat Crawford. Some of them actually picked Book against Crawford. Okay, I mean, go figure. But that's what happened. So a lot of these guys, expected Book to beat Crawford, in their basically their vain imaginations. And so when that didn't happen, and not only didn't that happen, but Book basically Crawford, he basically dispatched Book in 4 rounds, which is quicker than Canelo, than Triple G, and much quicker than Spence did. All these guys and these haters, and these Spence fans went into shock, and basically they're still in shock as of this video I'm making right now, 2 weeks later, basically. So naturally, the team, the Spence team, sent out Derek James to do some damage control, because people started demanding the Crawford Spence fight after they saw what happened with Brook. Everybody was like, hey, we have to see the Spence Crawford fight. Even a lot of Errol Spence, diehard fans are starting to, request that fight now. When previously they had wanted Crawford to fight everybody else but Spence. They try to put uh their main sacrificial lamb that they try to put in front of Crawford is Sean Porter. They want Crawford to fight Sean Porter, before he fights Spence. And I'm pretty sure once, if Crawford was to fight Sean Porter, they would find somebody else, to put in front of him before he can fight Spence. But basically, they want Crawford to fight everybody else but Spence, which is strange. But it is what it is. That's what's going on, though. And so we see the same narrative coming from, all these LDBC haters and commentators, and we see that same narrative coming from Derek James. Okay, so so here Derek James comes out, right, and he says that Errol Spence, well, he didn't really talk much about Spence. He spoke mostly about Crawford. He said that Crawford had the weakest resume of all the pound for pound fighters. Imagine that. Okay, now here's a guy who's on the pound for pound list, who was cleaned out a whole division, right? That is Crawford at 140, moves up to 147, okay? Is on the verge of cleaning out the 147-pound division, but he would have done it already if actually Crawford would have cleaned out the 147-pound division already if these guys would fight him. But as we see, Manny Pacquiao, Manny Pacquiao says he wants to fight Crawford, but saying that you want to fight Crawford and actually fighting him is two different things. And we know that Errol Spence has been ducking Crawford for years, so that fight is not going to happen. It doesn't look like. So basically, if these two guys had fought Crawford, he would have been undisputed at 147 pounds by now. Okay, I mean those are the facts. I mean that's how I see it anyway. So but as we see, Errol Spence has been ducking that fight, and so has Manny Pacquiao, basically, because Manny Pacquiao is just sitting on the belt, not really fighting anybody, even though he says he would fight Crawford, but we're not seeing the fight happening, and so we don't know what's happening with that. Maybe they're in negotiations with that, and so that fight is going to happen. We don't know. Okay, but and in a funny, there's a funny point to this whole Manny Pacquiao thing. One of these LDBC haters, one of these commentators, and I'm not even going to mention his name. He was out there talking about, he had said that Manny Pacquiao came all the way from the Philippines, went to the fight with Spence and Mikey Garcia, and he thought that Manny was going to call out the winner of that fight. Okay, he said Manny was even in the ring. Okay, but after the fight, he said Manny called out Mikey Garcia, the guy that lost the fight. Okay, so basically he was saying Manny was ducking Spence. That's basically what he claimed, that Manny should fight Spence, this and the other. Now the same guy is talking about how Crawford shouldn't fight Manny. He should pick on somebody his own age, to fight, and he's bringing up all these other guys that Crawford is supposed to fight that's of this generation and of his age, and he should fight these guys. Why does he want to fight old man Manny Pacquiao? I mean, these guys are so silly. I mean, but then again, they might talk a lot of silliness and sound silly, okay, and sound stupid actually, but the reality is they're getting paid to say the things that they're saying, and they know, there's a method to their madness, basically, okay? So it is what it is, okay? Because why would Crawford want to fight anybody else when he's trying to clean out the division? That means that he wants to fight the people that have the belt. Manny has the belt. So why are you telling Crawford to go fight somebody else, his own age, when Manny has the belt? If Manny don't want to fight, then give the belt to somebody that's Crawford's own age, and then Crawford will fight that guy, whoever that might be. Okay, if that's the case, relinquish the belt. Okay, so these guys are so silly. I mean, it's so stupid what they're saying. Crawford should go and fight somebody his own age. Why would he? I mean, he has to fight the guys that's in the division that has the belts. Those are the guys that he wants to fight because he wants to be undisputed 147 pounds. So why is he going to fight somebody else that doesn't even have a belt? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Spence and Manny has the belts. Those are the guys he wants to fight. Okay? I mean, it's just it's basic math. I mean, so, these people out there, running these narratives, they sound so ridiculous. But, they got to run those narratives because they're getting a few dollars to do that. Okay? I mean, they have no integrity when it comes to boxing or, what's going on with the boxing world. They just out there spinning narratives because they're getting a few chump change from, some of these fighters. And also, these fighters' teams are paying them, and, they're getting chat money from some of their decaf fans that follow them, that follow these channels, okay, because a lot of these fans don't know nothing about boxing, okay, they just what you call, they just following personalities, I mean, some of these YouTubers have become, what you call personalities, and so you have people, sycophants that follow these personalities and just repeat or mimic, or parrot whatever they say. Whatever these channels say, these people that follow him that they have nothing better to do, you know, they just repeat what these people are saying. Okay, and you know it's you know, I mean, it doesn't really, I don't think it does much for boxing myself. But anyway, the bottom line is that Derrick James comes out to do some damage control after the devastating knockout of Kell Brook by Terrence Iceman Crawford. And so, you know, he was on Fight Hub, you know, talking about the fight. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna play a little part of that so you can see for yourself what he actually said. I mean, this guy is hilarious, man. I mean, you know, check this out. Hold on for a second, okay?
This is 6-time IFBB Bikini Pro Champion Brina Martinez, and I take ZMA5 to make sure.
Over the weekend, we saw Terrence Crawford knock out Kell Brook in 4 rounds in a phenomenal way. Did you see the fight, and what'd you make of how Terrence looked in there?
I watched the fight. I mean, I had no comments on it. I don't know how it. I mean, I don't know how to take it. I mean, you know, I mean.
Did you think?
Okay. Did you see that? When the guy asked him the question, his eyes shifted to the right, and he, you know, I saw the fight, but I don't know how to answer that. Okay, I mean, you know, but let's continue and watch the interview a little more and see some more of what he's talking about. Okay, hold on for a second. Let me cue it up.
This is 6-time IFBB Bikini Pro Champion Brina Martinez.
Over the weekend, we saw Terrence Crawford knock out Kell Brook in 4 rounds in a phenomenal way. Did you see the fight, and what'd you make of how Terrence looked in there?
I watched the fight. I mean, I had no comments on it. I don't know how it. I mean, I don't know how to take it. I mean, you know, I mean.
Did you think he looked well? Like, you know, I know Errol. You went with Errol to fight Kell Brook. You know, like, how did you feel Kell looked in there, and how did you feel that Terrence looked in there?
I think Kell Brook looked pretty decent. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I think that what I think is that everybody looks good hitting the heavy bag, hitting the mitts. You know what I mean? And I think that's kind of when he was landing those shots, it was like hitting the mitts. But it's like when you get hit back, that kind of tells where you are, right? Not so much about, because I mean, everybody looks great hitting the bag, hitting the mitts. And that's what I think about it. I mean, you know, he was hitting the mitts. It was, you know.
Who was hitting the mitts? Was it Terrence?
Kell was.
Kell. Okay.
Kell was the one landing all the shots, most of the shots, you know. And then I said, like I said, everybody looks good hitting the mitts, but it's about when you get hit back. That was when he couldn't, you know. So that lets you know he was kind of shot. And I mean, even going into the fight, they had to know that. They had to know it was shot or whatever, but you know that.
Mm-hmm. Did you, by chance, listen to the comments that Bob said after the fight about making a potential fight with Errol and Terrence?
Yeah, I've heard of them. I mean, I don't watch a lot of media. I don't watch, but people send me stuff. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Aaron, you know, commented that if you know, the PBC and you guys or Danny, whoever wins, really wants to make a big pay-per-view fight, a real big pay-per-view fight, they have to come and fight Terrence. And that's Errol has been avoiding a fight with Terrence. He doesn't want to fight him because what we saw with Kell would happen with Errol. And Bob said, you know, it would happen in around the same time.
I'm talking about, I don't even know. I have no idea what he's talking about because like I said, I didn't say that. But I mean, man, listen, you know, I think they just want. I mean, they want something. We have Danny Garcia in front of us, who, as I stated before, even if you add Kell Brook on his resume, still doesn't add up to what Danny Garcia has done.
Okay. I mean, that is hilarious. And you see how he asked him about Errol Spence fighting Crawford, and he switched it around to talk about Danny Garcia's record. Didn't answer the question at all about the fight, you know, with Errol Spence. say he didn't know. He people send him things. He don't know. I mean, you see how he just totally, didn't know what to say or what to do. I mean, anytime someone asks these guys about fighting Crawford, this is what happens. Okay, they start talking all kind of foolishness. You know what I mean? Pulling shit out the air, talking about this and that and whatever. And that's basically has been what's been going on. Every time you ask Spence's team about fighting Crawford, this is what you get. Okay, he saw the way he folded his hands, like got defensive. So we can see that. We can see plainly just by watching that Derek James, just the idea of Crawford get these guys totally discombobulated. They don't know what to do or what to say. When you bring up Crawford, I mean, what more? How clearer can it be that these guys are totally terrified of fighting Crawford? I mean, we see that right there, and this is Derek James, okay, and you can see that, okay. He couldn't even answer the question. He started talking about Danny Garcia's record and this, that, and the other. So, I mean, it's pretty clear by now. I mean, it's been 2 years, people, and every time they ask these guys about fighting Crawford, they're bringing up Porter, they're bringing up pound for pound status. They bring up Canelo. They want to fight Canelo now. Which is another ducking. They basically, so now the new thing, what they're doing now is they're bringing up Canelo's name, basically clout chasing Canelo, saying that they want to fight Canelo, and then right after that, if you look at the YouTube channel, you see that they're LDBC fanboys and sycophants, are talking about how, oh yeah, the Canelo fight is an easier fight to make than the Crawford fight because of this and because of that, and so basically it's just so Errol Spence teams comes out with the talking point or the narrative, and then the YouTubers, the LDBC haters and YouTubers, they pick it up and they run with it, okay? So, because they get a few bucks on the side or whatever. So this is, what's going on, okay? And so now the new talking point or the new narrative is that Canelo is an easier fight to make than fighting Crawford. I mean, just think about that for a second, okay? Canelo's last fight was at 175 pounds, okay? Somebody had mentioned this to Canelo, and he said, the size is going to be a problem because he's a small guy. So right now we're seeing that people that want to fight Canelo like Jamal Charlo, and Caleb Plant and these guys, they're going to have to go up to 168 pounds to fight Canelo if they want to fight Canelo. Okay. Canelo is not fighting at 160 pounds, but here you have Derek James and the Spence team talking about, and fighting Canelo at 160 pounds. Okay, Canelo is not coming back down to 160 pounds. Okay, why should he? Okay, so this whole idea of Spence fighting Canelo, or that Canelo is an easier fight to make than Crawford, just shows you how much these guys actually fear Crawford, that they're willing to send, Errol Spence all the way to 160 pounds to fight Canelo instead of fighting somebody in their own weight division, which is Crawford, because the fight, this fight is not difficult to make as they keep saying. It's an easy fight to make because Crawford wants to fight. He's been calling for the fight, okay? But, the haters and Spence and the Spence fanboys, they don't want this fight. Okay, I mean, this would be the biggest fight in boxing right now, with the most money, but nobody wants this fight from Spence camp. I mean, now you guys remember back in the day when Spence first came out, he was talking about strap season, man down, this, that, and the other. Okay, you collecting all the straps. We don't hear that anymore. Okay, you don't want to collect the strap that Crawford has. Okay, all these guys. We even hear one of these LDBC commentators, he has to be the dumbest commentator out there, by the way. I mean, this guy, he's out there talking about Crawford should fight people his own age. I mean, what he shouldn't fight. Why does he want to fight Manny Pacquiao? Manny Pacquiao has the belt. Okay, I said this before. I'm gonna say it again. Manny Pacquiao has the belt. So why would Crawford want to fight some guy, that these people are trying to pick for him to fight when he's trying to clean out the division and become undisputed 140? In order for you to do that, you got to beat the guy with the belt, which is why he's calling out Spence and Manny Pacquiao. They're the only two guys left with the belts. So he's calling them out, and he's been calling them out for years. Okay, he used to call out Thurman when he had the belt, but Thurman lost the belt to Manny Pacquiao. Okay, so now Thurman, they're talking about he can fight Thurman. Fight Thurman for what? When he was calling Thurman out, Thurman didn't even want to fight him. As a matter of fact, not only was Thurman ducking Crawford, he was ducking Spence at the same time. And now, they're saying, Spence should fight Thurman next, and he should fight Uga. And Spence don't want to fight Thurman because he remember when Thurman was ducking him. Just like how Thurman ducked Crawford, when they brought up the fight to him, he said, Crawford is barely a champ. Now he's not a champ at all, and he's out there in the fringes, trying to get fights. He can't get fights anymore, and he's out there talking about he want to fight this guy, he want to fight Spence, he want to fight Crawford, but he wants $10 million and all kind of nonsense. So, Thurman is out of it, okay? And, him fighting Crawford would be suicide for him. Okay, and which is why he wants $10 million to fight Crawford. Okay, so I mean, what is it that Thurman have that why Crawford should fight him when he wants to unify? He wants to unify, so he wants to fight the people with the belts. Okay, which is what champions do. So it is what it is. Okay, but again, this is what's going on now. So here we see, like I said, here we see that. Now Spence and his team. I mean, this is so hilarious, man. I mean, now they're trying to call out Canelo. They basically just clout chasing, like when Gary Russell was clout chasing Crawford. That's what they're doing. They're clout chasing Canelo in an attempt, and which I think is a desperate attempt to avoid fighting Crawford, because a lot of people are calling for the Crawford fight now. Okay, a lot of people want this fight now, so they're trying to figure out a way how they can take people's attention away from the Crawford fight. So now they figure, let's call out Canelo and chase and do some cloud chasing with Canelo. Maybe that would take people away from the Crawford fight. Okay, and that's basically what's going on. I mean, that's exactly what it is. Okay, so again, every time Crawford's name is mentioned, to Derek James or to Spence or to anybody in the team, okay, or to any of these LDBC haters, okay, they come up with all kind of mental gymnastics to say why Crawford should fight this guy or that guy or anybody else but fighting Spence. Okay, Derek James the same thing. Every time they bring up him, fighting Crawford, he comes up with all kind of fantastical reasons, why the fight should never happen. I mean, it's so funny. I mean, it's hilarious, man. I love it. I mean, these guys are in total fear of Crawford. Okay, you can't get in there. You can almost smell the fear on them. Okay, and so this is what's going on. Okay, especially after what happened with Brook. Okay, because after they saw that fight, it was over. After that fight, Crawford might well just wrap it up, because he's not gonna get Spence now unless, like I said before, we're gonna have to drag Spence into the ring with Crawford for that fight to happen. Okay, that's just what it is. Okay, these guys, they don't want nothing to do with Crawford, man. I mean, Crawford put the fear of God into these guys, okay? And it's very apparent, when you see them talk about Crawford, okay? They're gonna come up with all kind of things and say all different type of things, to try and downgrade Crawford. But like I always say, if Crawford has the weakest record and he's this and he doesn't fight anybody, well, why don't you just go over there and take the belt away from him then? I mean, that would be the logical thing to do. Because if I thought that a fighter was no good and he's not fighting anybody and he had a belt, you know, I would go over there and take the belt from him. I'll just call him out. But we don't see that happening at all, okay? We see them saying that Crawford ain't fought nobody, Crawford is this and that, and then they make a reason why they shouldn't fight Crawford, okay? So this is what's going on. And, it's very clear now to even the blind man that Errol Spence wanted nothing to do with Crawford. That, next thing he's going to be calling out AJ, Anthony Joshua, instead of saying that's an easier fight to make than fighting Crawford, okay? I mean, like I said, this whole thing is ridiculous at this point, but again, we're going to keep the pressure on Spence and his team and Derek James. People out there that want to fight, we need to keep the pressure on these guys, okay? They got to stop ducking, okay? Stop running, stop hiding, okay? They're going to have to make this fight because the public is going to demand this fight. And they're demanding it right now. And not just the public, but people in boxing want this fight, okay? But as, again, it's not going to be easy to get this fight because, they got a whole host of guys out there, especially in the LDBC, people who, don't want to see this fight because they know what's going to happen, okay? And so they're trying everything in the book for this fight not to happen, okay? So it's up to us, the public out here at large, to demand this fight and to make sure, if we have to drag Spence into the ring against Crawford, that's what we're going to have to do, because other than that, we're not going to get this fight, people, okay? So I'm telling you right now, we have to drag Spence into the ring with Crawford, and that's what's going on, because as you see, they don't want the fight, okay? And so we have to drag him into the ring. So again, I'm going to say, let the dragging continue, okay? Let's keep the pressure on these guys to make this fight and stop making excuses, and stop running around talking foolishness about, fighting Canelo at 160 pounds and all this other nonsense that they're talking, we want to see this fight. This fight needs to happen, okay? And so we got to keep the pressure on. So, I think, you people, get the, a lot of you people know what's going on, and you get the idea by now that this fight needs to happen, and that the only people standing in the way of this fight is actually, Errol Spence and his team, okay, because they don't want the fight. So, that's pretty clear by now to even, a blind man, okay? So, let's keep the pressure on people. That's all I have for right now. This is TBE Boxing. I'm out.